Certainly there is no hunting like the hunting of man, and those who have hunted armed men long enough and liked it never really care for anything else thereafter. Ernest Hemingway. We are here with manhunter Kurt Graupman. What's happening, brother?
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. Tell me about what you do for the Kurt. How long you been with Lorraine PD?
20 years this September.
So you were what, 21 when you start? 22.
I was a kid.
Yeah.
I was a baby.
What'd you start out doing? I mean, what were you, just regular on the road?
Oh yeah, just a road man.
Yeah.
Working streets.
And so now you're with the Northern Ohio Fugitive Task Force.
U.S. Marshals, Northern Ohio Violent Fugitive Task Force.
All right, so explain that a little bit, how it works and what you do with them.
It's kind of just how it sounds. I'm sure everyone's seen, they've been on TV and had made shows about it, but it's a task force of federal, state, and local police officers that just go out and track down fugitives. It's a very effective process that's we've been in existence since 2003. Formed after a Cleveland police officer, Wayne Leon, was shot and killed.
I remember that. That story.
The traffic stop was a fugitive inside guy wanted for some violent stuff, and he killed Officer Leon, and that was kind of the genesis of what started this, at least in this district. You'll see now, every district in the country has some kind of task force, and now you have regional task forces that comprise 3 states. Just a large area, and it's become very effective for crime fighting. They've done studies that show that crime has significantly dropped. You can see a direct correlation between these task forces and violent crime dropping in these areas, because you have a unit dedicated to taking guys off the street, taking fugitives that are off the street, and just because they're wanted doesn't mean they're not also committing more crimes. So it's a preemptive thing as well. You're not only taking them up for what they've done, but what they're statistically going to do after that.
Yeah, they're not going to, get jump bail or avoid the police and then go to their 9-to-5 job every day and do the right thing. They're going to be still out there hustling and committing crimes.
There's a lot of career criminals that were taking up, bad people.
You're not dealing with these are all violent, obviously, from the name.
Yeah,
right?
And we've made, I think it was happened last summer, 50,000 arrests on.
Since 2003.
Yeah,
that's insane.
It is, and these are these aren't just all probable cause. These are people that are wanted for violent stuff. So it's very effective and a very positive thing that's going on.
So is the majority of the work you do in the city of Lorraine, or are you going into Cleveland?
Well, we have an area. It's Northern Ohio is divided. You have a Cleveland division, we have a Lorraine division, you have a Toledo division, Youngstown, Canton, Akron. Our area is Lorraine County, Erie County, and part of Medina County, but 95% of our time we're in Lorraine area.
Right.
That's where we're at. And so we do sometimes have to go, like a case will take us to maybe Cleveland or I don't know, like Brunswick, but we have people there if something does. If we have a major case, we can call them and they can assist us. But sometimes we do. But most of our time is spent just here in Lorraine and Elyria. You'd be surprised.
Yeah. Now, who is actually in charge of it? Is it the U.S. Marshal Service?
U.S. Marshals run it, and I'm with Lorraine Police, but I'm assigned to the task force. We got our unit. We're run by a deputy marshal. We have a Lorraine police officer. We have 2 sheriff's deputies. We have parole. We've had ICE agents assigned to us. Elyria Police, so they draw from all over the place. So we have a good full-time crew every day.
See, that's really cool that this is your job. This is Monday through Friday or beyond. You're not having to do this on top of what you already do. That's how did you get involved in it to begin with?
I was just happened kind of fell in my lap. There was an opening and my name came down on the list, and it worked out.
Yeah.
I've been doing it since 2010. I've been with the task force. It's great work. It's probably the best job in police work, in my opinion.
Right.
Other people would differ with me, but in my mind, it's the best job in police work. It's very, very satisfying. It's a fulfilling job. Look forward to going to work every day. I honestly do. After 20 years, I can still say I look forward to going to work.
Yeah, it's that's the bottom line of what every kid wants police work to be. It's the cops and robbers
Yeah.
hunting the
You
bad
want it
guy.
to be fun.
Yeah, it's not. When I worked at the sheriff's department, the thing that drove me nuts is when I was working in the jail was the amount of, dealing with 40-year-old men whining, or people asking for toilet paper, or hey, can you tell so and so that he's supposed to put money on my books, and um, it wasn't anything like you thought it was when you were a kid. And I'm sure with regular police work, you get a lot of that too. You get domestic violence
Oh, you
calls
do.
and speeding tickets. No one wants to do that shit.
Yeah, there's a little bit of redundancy that goes with it, and they say, the old adage of police work is 97% boredom, 3% terror.
Yeah.
That's a little on the exaggeration, but yeah, there's some boring times to it. You're working midnights in Lorraine, Ohio in January. Yeah, there's nobody on. There's
not a lot
nothing
to do.
going on. It's 4 degrees outside, and you're driving around all night. That can get a little old, but it's like anything else. You got any job, but yeah, doing this, it's just it's one, the work's never going to end.
Right.
There is crime in this country. Unfortunately, there is crime in this country, and it's not going to stop.
Yeah.
And it's every day, and I don't know there's some days I walk in and, hey, we got a homicide, we got to go on it, or a guy got killed in Elyria last night, let's go, or get a phone call at 5 a.m. Hey, we got to go, man. Guy got shot over on south side of Lorraine.
Right.
So you never know what's going to pop up for you.
Yeah, it's amazing in this town that doesn't seem that large. We're about, for those of you listening from outside the area, we're about 30 miles west of Cleveland, and Lorraine is it's and I'm going to say it because Kurt's not responsible for what I say, but Lorraine is a rundown place, man. It's a town where you used to have a huge steel industry. You used to have Ford was here. You had a lot of booming shipping coming in, iron ore, that kind of stuff, and all that's gone now. And you have the remnants of that society that has nothing to do, and now you're dealing with second and third generation of people who have nothing to do and no viable options to get better. It's really difficult when you're in one of these settings where dad's never worked and mom's never worked and maybe grandma and grandpa have never worked, and it's hard to say, oh, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and go find a job. But we're dealing with a place that is it's hopefully it's on the rise, but it's down and out right now.
Things can look a little better. They're looking a little better, I want to say. Whether that's permanent or temporary, it remains to be seen. But yeah, we're the 10th largest city in Ohio. We're about 70,000 people, and when I say Lorraine, I also like to include like Lorraine, Elyria, because they're essentially sister cities of each other.
Yeah, right.
Elyria's a little smaller, but we're talking over 100,000 people in these two cities. So you put that little area together, that's there's potential for, there's a lot of people, and with people comes crime, of course.
Yeah, and a lot of
the
people,
circumstances, the economic circumstances, the social circumstances in these towns, just kind of lends to it.
Yeah, and people get whacked here. You see it.
We had 11 homicides. We had 11
11
homicides in 2017.
Yeah.
70,000 people. That's a crime rate. That's a murder rate. If you go by the way they're generated for major cities, that's a murder rate higher than Detroit.
Wow.
Yeah, per 100,000 people.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. Now again, we don't get double digits every year, but you get them a lot of years.
Yeah. I'm guessing most of it's drug related.
Yes and no. Yeah, there's a lot of it drug related, but you also get domestics. You get children that are killed, beaten. We've had that recently a couple times.
Right.
So it's not crime runs the gambit, but drugs do fuel quite a bit of it around here. There's safe to say there's a drug problem in this country,
and
that leads to crime.
It's switched since I was a kid. Marijuana was the big drug being brought in. Cocaine was, I don't think I saw cocaine when I was a kid, but now it seems to be the opiates and the heroin that I'm guessing that's a nationwide epic that's killing people.
Oh, it is, and I've seen the transformation. Like when I first came on in the late 90s, that was kind of sort of the end of the crack boom, I want to say. So we saw crack.
Yeah, are you getting people with crack very often anymore?
It's coming back. It's funny. It's because it is coming back. You get people with crack all the time.
Right.
It was like 5 years before I saw heroin on the job,
Okay.
And then it kind of started shifting, and then you started seeing, oh man, these guys are like, we're getting heroin and this, heroin that, heroin that. They went on for years, and then it was, you didn't see crack at all, and it was just, the opioid epidemic hit, and you just see heroin all the time.
Right.
You just that's what the drug was, heroin. I used to make a joke. I'd tell these guys, I'm like, no one does crack anymore. I'm like, because we'll ask these guys that we arrest, like, what are you doing? What's your drug of choice? And the guy would be like, crack. I'm like, no one does crack anymore. Get out of here.
Right.
But now, because I don't know what the reasoning behind this is. It might be just the crackdown. It might just be harder, and the police are more aware of heroin. You're starting to see crack come back a little bit. I'm starting to see it a little more with people we deal with. So it's a cyclical thing like anything else.
Right.
And now that maybe with the crackdown on the opioids, we're starting to see the cycle swing back towards the cocaine aspect of it.
Even if you are not an educated human being, these people who are doing and I understand that everyone pretty much has had some kind of being touched by the heroin epidemic and people dying from heroin overdoses. But to be absolutely honest, right now, if you are doing heroin, knowing what's happening nationwide,
I ask people. Because we work closely. Our unit does with the Lorraine County Drug Court.
Mm-hmm.
They'll ask us for assistance. If someone is not following the program and they maybe walked away from the halfway house or the treatment, the judge will issue a warrant because they're in violation of their terms. So we'll go pick them up for them. And me and my partner, we flat out ask them all the time. Every time I get one of them in the car, I say, how did you get here?
Right.
I go, at what point did you decide that it was okay to stick a needle in your arm? That you thought that was a good idea to do that? And the answers are all the same. I started doing pills with my friends, and then just one thing leads to another. It's the same story
mm-hmm.
over and over and over again, and it's just kind of, I can't fathom it. I can't pull it together as to why you got into this position. And
yeah.
They know that it's bad. You're living from house to house. I say it's easier to catch a murderer than it is to catch a heroin addict. It really is, because they're just transient.
They probably don't know where they're going to be.
They don't know where they're going to sleep,
let alone you find them.
Yeah, and it's just, and they're living that life, and I'm like, how long can you do this? Especially now, and now with what's coming in, and we see it every day. People die every day. In Lorraine and Elyria, people are dying every day.
You're seeing people dying, and they know that the fentanyl's in there.
Yeah.
And what is is it carfentanol? Is the stuff that's even more powerful?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing that people go that route, and like you said, it seems to always be people stealing mom and dad's.
Yeah, they talk about how, and I don't want to get into about what the opioid addiction is about, but a lot of, especially politicians, want to classify this as a health issue.
Yeah.
And it's like, this isn't a crime issue. This is a health issue. In many regards, it is a health issue because Americans are dying. But you have to, when you're a heroin addict, you have to think about the ancillary crimes that are committed here. They're going to steal.
Yeah.
They're going to lie. They're going, whatever they can get their hands on, they're going to steal it. It's going to happen. And when you're stealing grandma's jewelry, or you're breaking into a house and stealing their stuff, they're still crime victims here.
Mm-hmm.
The person that got burglarized and had their jewelry stolen, or some cash stolen, or whatever, something their father gave them before he died, they're not going to get that money back. They're still a victim here. So.
Yep. Not to mention, a lot of these people have children, and
yes.
they're not.
Yes. Then let's talk about what happened. Yes, they're losing their children. Their children are being raised in this environment. So, I don't know. To combat it, you got to balance it a little more. You can't just classify this as this is a crime problem. We have to, or this is a health issue. They just need treatment, and that'll solve the problem. Because I don't think that's going to. Yes, they do need treatment, but.
That seems to be the way we deal with all problems in this country, though, is it's either a health problem or a crime problem. You look at immigration, it's we need to build a wall, or we need to solve the poverty issue, or there's all these things that come together, but you get these tribal sides that don't want to deal with each other. So we just want to deal with it as a health issue, and then we just want to deal with it as a crime issue. And instead of actually dealing with the problem, we just argue with each other and try to get our sides out there. And that's a formula for nothing.
Are there people out there that truly are just they are addicted to heroin and they need help, yes. But are there guys, and I've seen it in this county, I've seen people that have sold drugs, sold heroin that killed somebody in this county receive probation for what they did.
Yeah.
There's got to be more to it than that. There's got to be more. You can't just say, "Oh, I sold heroin. I'm a heroin addict. I need help." There's got to be something else that we can do about this.
And the way I understand it is they're cutting the heroin with fentanyl, and that's what's killing these guys. For instance, I think I was talking to the Todd the other day where he was saying 5 milligrams of one is equal to 500 milligrams of the other, so they're dosing it wrong. And
I'm not in the dope game, but from that's exactly what you said.
Yeah.
Just they're cutting it with potent stuff, and like when people say, "Oh, he died, he got some bad heroin." No, actually, he got some good heroin, and it was too much for him.
Yeah, it's
too much for the system.
It would be nice, and I don't, you're not a street cop anymore, and it would be nice to be able to ignore some of the things that are out there, like these kids that are getting possession of marijuana, and instead of dealing with the people who are bringing in these incredible drugs that are going to end up hurting people. But I think the problem is they expect soldiers to go out there and deal with the problem after it's deeply embedded in our cities, instead of where the big money is, bringing it into the country. It's strange to me that no one mentions that the fact that the heroin epidemic in this country went through the roof slightly after we invaded Afghanistan, and now all these poppy fields are ripe for the picking.
Yeah, I mean, there's a cause and effect here that goes with this stuff.
Yeah.
You got to have some forward thinking here. Instead of let's say, hey, these doctors are prescribing this medication, let's hammer them. I don't know if that's necessarily the solution to the problem.
Yeah.
Regulation sometimes can be a good thing, but it just seems that they're just throwing answers out there because they have to say something.
Yeah.
They have to say we're in a problem here. But
yeah, that's it's a major problem in this country. But when just like the crack epidemic, when the heroin epidemic goes away, something else will pop up to rear its ugly head, and we'll be dealing with that.
I mean, it's a supply and demand thing. Americans want to use this
stuff. It's there. And I'm a proponent of legalizing drugs. And the thing about it is you can't, in my opinion, you can't have legalized drugs in this country and socialized medicine. Because if you want to take drugs, I have no problem with that. Go ahead, buy it legally, whatever you're going to have to do to take that drug, but you're also going to suffer whatever consequences come from taking that drug. I shouldn't have to pay for your medical treatment once you've decided to be a heroin addict.
Yeah.
So you can have one, but you can't have the other. You can't have them both together. And I'm a proponent of both. I'm a proponent of that everyone should have health care, and I'm a proponent of everyone should have drugs. So that's kind of hard for me to rectify between the two of them. So
philosophers call that a conundrum.
Yeah, it surely is. I get into the fact that we spend so much money blowing up countries all around the world, but we can't take care of the health care for our citizens here, and that's kind of I'll probably have a couple rednecks turn me off after that statement, but that's the price you pay. But so getting back to the fugitive stuff, how does it work? When you're tracking these guys, are you getting a briefing that morning where we think he's going? Here's his.
Well, if we have time, a lot of times these things just pop up on the fly, and we're
running.
We're we got one guy on the computer while other guys driving, whatever. But you work up your case, and we got things that we go through. We like a checklist, and everyone develops their own style. And then in the morning we'll be like, or say tomorrow, like we'll have a board. Say, hey, tomorrow we're meeting here. We're gonna go after this guy. This is what he's wanted for. And then we meet at the design area. Say maybe we'll meet at LPD parking lot because we're gonna go hit something in Lorraine.
Yeah.
Give a briefing. I'll give out a picture and the particulars. Give a rundown of his criminal history, where we think he's at, why we think he's there, what his warrants for, just a general checklist, and then we go to work.
Yeah.
And then that's just how it works is, I mean, we're in the field most of the time. That's that's what work is. So,
Right.
We're out driving around hitting houses probably
Now, are
90% of our day.
do you guys have a team that does that, or do you have your team plus LPD SWAT come help?
Sometimes
Yeah.
it depends on it. Usually we have our team, our regular guys. There's 6 of us that we roll out, and we get augmented. Like a couple departments just send guys out a couple days a week.
Right.
So on other days we're fatter than others.
Right.
And if it's something serious, we got no problems. We'll call Lorraine, say, hey, me being working for them, I got good communication with people. I'm like, hey, a couple SWAT guys are working this afternoon. I'm going to call them and have them come out with us, and because whatever this guy's wanted for shooting somebody,
Sure,
or whatever, this guy's wanted for murder. We've served something like 7 murder warrants this year already in 2018,
Jesus
and not all Lorraine, of course, but that's what our unit alone.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine what Cleveland's doing. Imagine what Youngstown's doing. These bigger cities. So yeah, it's the nature, the volume of it is, and the severity of it's, that's, I mean, there's a ton of warrants out there. We could serve them all day, but you have to kind of, you got to, weed through it and take the pretty violent ones. So majority of our stuff is we're going after murders, shootings, rapes, like we'll do a lot of drug stuff, do drug trafficking, the violent stuff.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So that's your day right there, is going after these people.
Yeah, we've got a kind of an amazing group that from that original group of police officers who came into the gym. It's been what, 2.5 years now or something?
Yeah, it's been a couple. Yeah, I've been coming for over 2.
Yeah,
just 2. So
that we ended up getting this. We have you on the task force. You have. The Todd does the drug stuff. You've got Sup doing the computer stuff and the child predator stuff. And
it's getting, and that's kind of, police work's kind of going that way. It's getting specialized, just like due to technology and due to like these, just organization saying, hey, this is what's more effective. This is so it's kind of round peg round hole type stuff. So yeah, you're starting to see that a little more.
Now,
more specialized education.
When this became your specialty, did they put you through different training?
There's constant training.
Yeah.
They got this school. It's called HRFA, High Risk Fugitive Apprehension. Is
that a U.S. Marshal school?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah. Where they, you do, it's like tactical stuff.
Right.
Shooting, driving, vehicle takedowns.
Can you do like J turns and shit?
I've done J turns.
Nice.
Yeah. It's actually.
Can you teach me to do a J turn in the back parking lot?
It's actually quite easy. Yeah.
I don't know if I want to do it in my Jeep. That thing might flip.
No. It's something like, we were doing it with Crown Vics, and it wasn't that bad. But first time you do it, it's scary. I'll admit that. It's weird, but you get the hang of it.
It's about it for your tires afterwards too, I would assume.
You do vehicle takedown. It's like tactical stuff that
What's been the most fun, the training wise?
We did some good shooting, good room entries, room clearings. But I've been on a SWAT team for 15 years, so do a lot of it with that. But it never gets old, and you need to keep refining your skills.
Well, we talked about that.
We do it all the time, which is a good thing.
We talked about that as far as SWAT personnel goes, and about the. My guess is most of the guys on SWAT teams throughout the country are pretty good shots. They do you guys seem to spend a lot of time with the firearms. I'd like to see more. You guys getting some kind of stipend for strength training, some kind of stipend for jiu-jitsu,
Yeah, I agree with you on
that kind of stuff. Instead of spending time doing some of these ridiculous.
We came and trained with you. We came and trained with you for a year.
Right.
And you gave us good stuff, good functional things. We wear, that's an estimate, but probably 30 pounds of gear.
Yeah.
When we're doing operations, I need to know that, hey, I can pull myself up. I can do one pull up in all my gear. Is running 2 miles a good judge of fitness? Yes, absolutely. Is doing sit-ups and push-ups a good judge of fitness? Absolutely. You need to have a certain level of readiness, but you have to have some practicality in it too. Can I run 50 yards carrying my buddy, wearing all my gear? You can say it's a different type of fitness.
Right.
It's a different level that you have to train for.
You have to train for what you're actually doing. It's the equivalent of me taking rock climbers and making them swim. It's great for fitness level, but
Yeah.
you're not going to run into too many ponds and lakes up there climbing rocks. You have to train for the quote unquote sport you're dealing with, and being a police officer or fire or military, there's not much difference. Matt Wenning, who we've had on the podcast, is doing a lot of work with police, fire, and military, and he's talked at West Point, and he's working really hard on changing the culture of physical fitness for these high-risk jobs. You should be able to do pull-ups. You should be able to squat and deadlift and press and do these things that are actually going to make your body stronger.
Well, and like, look at it, I'm 42 years old, okay, and a lot of guys I work with are middle-aged people,
Right.
And we're doing. I need to go from, sometimes I'm going from sitting in a car to sprinting down the street.
Right.
A lot of explosive movements there.
Yeah.
For a 42-year-old, that's how people get hurt. That's how injuries happen. You need to train for it. You need to be ready for just explosive movements involving some weight.
Right.
And that's where this type of training comes into play.
And it makes me really nervous when I'll talk to a police officer or a fireman who make a joke out of their fitness, and they talk about drinking beers and doing this, but there's no talk, or they'll joke about how fat they are, and it's just like, this is your life, brother.
It is.
You're
This is
on
what
the
this
street.
is what we do for a living.
Yeah.
And you have a certain, like, there's a just go on a quick tangent. There's a reputation, not a reputation, but you have an image to uphold. Okay, there's this. I went to this seminar. It was put on by some guys called the FBI, like fatality and police work, some type of acronym like that. I can't remember. And it was a bunch of retired cops. And this guy, he was a retired cop from Detroit, and he basically studied why police officers get killed. Why are they getting shot? And they're going to the prisons. They're talking to the guys that did it, putting this big government-funded study together. And he would talk to some of these guys, and a lot of a big prevailing thing was, like, they asked this one guy, why did you shoot this cop when he came up in a car? And his response was, because I looked at him and I knew I could take him. And
Wow.
He shot him and then took off running. And the chase is on. This cop's down. The chase is on. He's running through a field. He said another cop who was put together well came up behind a tree with a shotgun, and he said, I can't beat that guy. And he went down on the ground.
Yeah.
So there is a certain, don't think that, don't underestimate your opponent here. They look at, if they see a big slob walking at you, they're like, I can take that guy.
Yeah.
And we don't know. I pull this car over for a taillight. Maybe he just robbed a bank. Maybe he just killed his old lady and thinks that that's why we're stopping him.
Right.
But we're not thinking that. We're thinking, oh, you just ran that red light back there. I'm going to give him a warning. And then he looks at you and says, well, I'm not going to jail. I can take this guy. So let's, you got to kind of keep, this is life and death stuff we're dealing with here sometimes.
Yeah, and I've noticed that a lot when as I was coming to the end of my correctional job, we were starting to get more and more hires that were less and less intimidating guys, and I think they were doing that on purpose. It was a better image. It looked better on paper that they weren't, when these guys did get in trouble for getting into fights with inmates, they didn't look like bruisers. The problem is they were always calling guys like us to save them.
Mm-hmm.
So you still needed those guys on the force, and you're dealing with a job where you have to, every once in a while, use force. You have to put your hands on motherfuckers. And I look at the people now, we have one girl in the gym now who I love, and I'm going to say this not out of meanness at all, because I say this to her on a daily basis. I tell her every day she comes in here, and I love her. She's a fantastic girl, and she's going to do great things in life. I don't want her to be a police officer, because I've got a Dunkin' Donuts coffee mug on my desk here, and she's not much taller than that. She's a tiny, tiny little girl, and she's got the heart of a lion, but it wouldn't take much to whip her ass.
No.
It would not. She's just a tiny, and it has nothing to do with being a girl. She's just little. She's very little.
I mean, unfortunately, it's reality is, sometimes bigger is better.
Yeah.
Sometimes stronger is better. I mean, I know I'm not going to run anybody down. If someone runs for me, I got 50 yards to get them.
Right.
I know I'm not going to get them. But if I do get them, they're probably not going to get away.
Yeah, right.
So you have to.
And you probably have to have guys who can run and guys that can brawl too.
You do. It means, like, again, round pegs, round holes. You have to. That's the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
That's what it is out there. Sometimes guys are going to fight with you, and that goes kind of to this whole big thing in police work now, is this guardian versus warrior. With the last couple of years, you're starting to see this big thing. Criminologists call it the Ferguson effect after what happened in Ferguson.
Oh yeah, right.
But like, oh, the police think they're warriors. They don't need to be warriors. They need to act like guardians, and it's true. We do have to act. We are guardians. That is our job, is to protect the constitutional rights of every citizen, every person in this country. But sometimes you need that warrior.
Yeah.
And on the hunting fugitives, you want a warrior to go after these criminals. That's what you need. So
yeah.
There's a time and a place for it. So why yes, going back like what you said about working in the jail, yeah, they want people that look like guardians, but sometimes you need a warrior to go in and do the job. So it's a delicate balance, and it's kind of hard for someone outside looking in to understand what it is and what it takes.
With when I was working in the jail, and when I was working in the adult jail, I was in my early to mid 20s, so it was great. I was I went from varsity football to bouncing in bars to working in a jail, so it was kind of fun. But one of the best pieces of advice I got from a training officer, and I won't say his name because he's still on the job coming up, was when you put your hands on somebody, you go full go until it's over with, because the minute you go half go, you're dead. So I took that to a whole nother level. I mean, I was doing WWE moves on guys and breaking arms, and I mean, I got in a lot of trouble, but I never got hurt because I went full go every time. And I'll tell you what, when it was time to put my hands on somebody, I was trying to put him in the hospital every fucking time, because I didn't want him to. Because I knew that once I put him down, every guy in that pod was watching to see what you would do. So you're putting on a show for everybody. So I would make it look as brutal as possible. The thing I never ran into, and I think it's such a small minority of police and corrections officers, and some people are going to say I'm full of shit, but working in corrections for 19 years, what I never saw or heard was, I'm going to go in there and beat the shit out of that black guy.
No.
There was none of that shit. No. Number one, if you put your hands on somebody, anybody, black, white, doesn't matter. The amount of fucking paperwork you have to go through to do it.
That's what keeps, like police or in any work, is paperwork.
It's ridiculous. I
don't wake up every day and say, man, I can't wait to do paperwork today.
And you will. You put your hands on an inmate.
It is.
And I'm sure it would be 100 times worse if you shot somebody. The amount of just pure paperwork you'd have to go through to deal with that would be insane.
Yeah, I don't need the drama of it.
No.
I don't need the hassle. I hate doing paperwork as it is. I'm not going to do stuff to create more just because I got that. That's what I want to do.
Right.
I want to go out and shoot people all day today.
And that's it. You would never, unless you're an absolute psychopath, you would never. You're in your morning briefing and just go, someone's going to get it today. I'm going out. This motherfucker, I'm going to drive up and shoot him in the head for no reason. Now, does that happen? I'm sure. There's psychopaths in every line of work, and they get through the system.
There are bad cops.
Yep.
Yes, there are bad cops, but there's bad doctors. There's
sure.
bad lawyers. There's bad politicians. There's bad gym owners.
Yeah, absolutely. I know about 20 of them.
Yeah, it's humanity. You're going to have sometimes bad apples slip through, and then you have to, of course, alleviate that and solve it. But it's going to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna try to go off on like what the media portrays, but of course,
they blow it up.
Of course, and that's their job to do.
They're
in a business just like anything else. So, but it's kind of tough because like I feel like I have a ground level view of things and how people perceive, and it's not as bad as the media likes to portray.
Right.
It is, and regular people like you and me, and people we deal with, they understand what it is. Like I tell them, when I go in to arrest someone, this is business. I don't know you. I got nothing against you. Once I get you cuffed and we're in the car, we'll be friends. I'll chat with you.
Absolutely,
I'll
right.
talk. We'll talk it up. But hey, it's just business.
Yeah.
I'm just doing what I got to do.
And it's a guy thing too. In that situation, like when I used to deal with guys as opposed to girls inside the jail, I'd whip a guy's ass, and you're right. After it was over and everyone stopped breathing so hard, we could just talk like normal.
Yeah, we'll throw down. And when the fight's on, the fight's on. But when it's over,
the girls sometimes would be a little bit more pissed off at you for a longer period of time to remember. Well, and they tend to hold a grudge a little bit longer. But that was always funny. The guys would just be talking to you afterwards. And what was interesting was, where did you grow up? Like
North Ridgeville.
Okay, so North Ridgeville is no different from where I grew up.
It's like Amherst. Yeah, it's like that.
So what I didn't realize is, when I started working in the jails, and probably even before that when I was working in the bars, was that people don't think the way you do growing up in suburban America.
No, they don't. And
there's a definite might makes right mentality that a lot of these people have, that they don't respect you until you whip their ass.
I went from North Ridgeville, growing up in a nice little suburb, went to Ohio State, okay, you get a little bit of a bigger world out there, but you're still at a university.
Right.
It's not the real world.
Right.
It's a university. But you see some people that maybe you hadn't seen, lived with people you didn't know, like growing up in the white suburbs like we did.
Right.
Then I come to work in Lorraine. I'm 22 years old, and that was it was a culture shock from minute one.
Sure.
The only time we came to Lorraine was play sports, and we were scared when we came here. So it took a couple years to really acclimate and lose my little my little suburban white boy attitude, and like realize that, hey, this is how the real world is.
Yeah.
This is the big time.
Yeah, you're not protected.
No.
24/7, 365.
This is life in the big city, and Lorraine. It's not even that big.
Right. Yeah.
So you can only imagine. It was a bit of a culture shock, coming here and realizing, like, wow, this is the big leagues.
Yeah, and with a lot of these kids who don't have educations, the only education they have is on the streets, and being taught that the only way to get your point across is to be bigger and tougher and meaner than the person next to you.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's it. You do get that. Yeah, I mean, especially you working the DH, you saw it. You saw these kids are, it's a culture that they're being raised in. Unfortunately, they want to, like you said, might makes right. And
there's not enough. What I saw working at the DH primarily was, number one, a lack of father figures in the home. It was always single mothers with their kids. Always. I mean, we're talking 80-90%. Single mothers raising a child. Sometimes that single mother was just an ass kicker who maybe she has 6 kids and this one is the fuck up.
Yeah, everyone's got one.
A lot of times what it is a single mother who is overwhelmed and wanting to be friends with their kid instead of trying to help them. We have single mothers in here who are absolute animals and will beat a child to the brink of death, but their children are well behaved. But I think that one of the major problems we have in society is dads not taking responsibility for their children and, dumping cum in these girls and then leaving and never seeing them again, and they don't seem to care. Ian was talking about, we have Ian here at the gym who was talking about a kid he knows who is 13 years old and has a child.
That's crazy.
And it's
that, these are just, of course, these are my opinions. These are not.
Well, that's what we're here for.
No,
these are not the opinions of the Lorraine Police Department.
They do not reflect who I work for or anything like this. But, what I see, and I've been doing this for 20 years, time does fly. It makes me feel old. For 20 years, it's a irresponsible procreation, lack of respect for education, or a lack of, like education is good. You need to educate yourself. Like a culture of the police are bad, just on the surface, the police are bad, lack of respect for the authority, and it breeds a culture. It's that just like it's going to become, perpetuate the cycle. It's going to continue. Like you see it.
Yeah.
Like I see it, unfortunately, and it's just you're starting to see it's a generational thing. I'm to the point now where I'm dealing with guys I dealt with. I'm dealing with their kids.
Oh yeah,
You know,
right.
I'm like, I remember when you were 4 years old. You were such a sweet little boy. You know, and now you're out there.
Well, who are the role models?
Me.
So if you don't have dad in the house, you start to look for anyone who will give you some kind of view of what masculinity should be. And a lot of times you're looking at people within the media. So your football players and your music entertainers and things like that. Now, when we were growing up, I don't think we would have done well if Motley Crue was our ideal of what a man should be.
But they are awesome.
They are pretty fucking awesome. But we would be here with big teased Aquanet hair.
Yes.
We'd be doing lines of coke off the desk, and so and I don't know your upbringing, but I had male role models in my life who
my father was an FBI agent, so I didn't get to do much.
Right. So you had actual masculine males who showed you the way, and you said, "Oh, Motley Crue's music real good, but I don't want to be in a thong inside of a drum kit upside down." Actually, that'd be pretty awesome. But so what you have now is 80 to 90% of these kids with no male role models in their lives, and they're looking at sports stars who are, assholes on a lot of occasions.
You get like some morally bankrupt guys.
Right, guys beating their girlfriends in elevators, and still getting to play football, and
well, as long as you're good,
right?
You can do that if you're good, but once you're not good,
you're out.
Oh, that's terrible. You can't do that.
Or you have rap singers with, the fake video where they've made one song and all of a sudden they're on a yacht and in a Learjet and they're throwing money around. It's like, that's a fucking video. They don't have that money.
No,
they'll be broke in 2 months.
Well, one thing Lorraine is doing that is so good is we're doing community outreach to this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
We got a community impact unit that we're working in conjunction with the Boys and Girls Club. We're trying to get with the public and show them, provide, positive influence,
right?
And show that the police are good. We're here to help them. That's what our job is to do.
And you are.
And that goes back to that guardian versus warrior thing, because yes, we are guardians. We have to show them that we're guardians,
right?
And we have to show them, hey, we are here to help you. And when you need help and someone's trying to hurt you, then the warriors are going to show up.
Yeah.
And then we're going to help you again, and we're going to keep you safe.
And those warriors are going to be assholes to the people who are trying to hurt you.
Yes. It's going to get the job done.
Right.
Put it that way.
You're going to get. It bugs me, And like I said, I'm a white kid from the suburbs, but every time I've been stopped by a police officer, I've complied because you know what? I don't want to get my ass kicked.
No, I comply now. I get pulled over from time to time.
Sure.
I keep my hands on the steering wheel, say, "Good morning, sir. Yes, sir."
Yep.
It's that, and that's the type of thing that we need to teach, that, no one wants to hurt you.
Right.
We're going to keep you safe. That's what we do.
Yeah.
And but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Sometimes you have to flip that switch and become a warrior. I'll tell you a little case about where that had to come into play. It was must have been 2011. I come into work one morning and I see I checked the warrants for Lorraine, see who's wanted there. I saw a guy by the name of Albert Fine is wanted for
I remember that guy.
it was just wanted for something like a credit card theft or something.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is kind of weird. So I call up the detective. I say, hey, I see you got this Albert Fine is wanted for some credit card fraud. He's like, oh, all right, this is the deal. Yeah, he's wanted for credit card fraud, but we're worried about his girlfriend. She's like, they just had a baby. The baby's still in the hospital. It's premature. Baby's still at Rainbow. And her parents can't really get a hold of her. She came to visit the baby every single day. She hasn't been there in like 3 days. They'll text her phone, and she'll respond on the phone, but they thought it was kind of weird, so they asked her kind of like integrity questions, like, hey, what was the color of Grandma's house in Oberlin?
Oh, yeah.
And they get the answer wrong. So it's like, hey, so this is but the credit card's been getting used, so it's kind of weird stuff. I'm like, all right, I'll check it out. So we go over to where the address of his warrant is, and we're knocking, we get nothing. Talk to some neighbors. They're like, yeah, he lives over there. Seen this girl? Yeah, I've seen her, but it's been a few days. So we get into the apartment, and it looked like someone was moving out of there. Like it's very clean. Looked like someone had been cleaning.
Wow.
Stuff's stacked up, but it was weird. And there was like a big smell of bleach in the place, and there was like a smell of garbage, like someone had left the garbage in there too long. And I'm like, hey, maybe he skipped. He's out of here because it looks like stuff was moving out, and so we're checking the rest of the building, and there's a utility closet, like utility room with washing machines connected, like kind of just on the opposite side of his apartment, and there's like little closets for each apartment. He was in apartment 2, I want to say, and there's a big 2 on this door. I'm like, oh, it's probably, me being a detective, I'm like, oh, that's probably his closet.
Just brilliant.
Yeah, I know. Just I should be attorney general. So it was kind of like it was just held on with a padlock, and you could kind of pry the door open a little bit. I could look inside, and there's just a couple of boxes, and but there's an odd smell coming out of there. But I'm like, clearly she's not in there, he's not in there, but it just smelled hinky.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, we can't just break in there. That's not, we don't have a warrant for this. So I'm like, well, he's not in there. I go, let's move on with what we're doing. Let's go to I think we're going to go talk to his mom or something. So but I called the detective and say, hey, this is what we got. Went to the apartment. Nobody's there, but there's this odd smell coming out of the back closet. He's like, all right. So I'm driving a little more. Then I get a call from my lieutenant, and he's like, hey, we're going back over there to that apartment. Meet me over there. I'm like, okay. So I drive back over there, and he's like, well, let me see this closet. So I open up, and he's like, oh yeah, there's something going on in there. And I'm driving back over there, and I'm like, please let me not have imagined that smell. Please let that be real, or else I'm gonna look like quite an idiot. So we get over there, and we end up, long story short, get a search warrant, go inside. Her dismembered body is inside a Tupperware bin inside that closet. So now the hunt's on.
Right.
Now this is serious. And this guy, we eventually, I was up for like 24 hours that day. We end up getting some information that he might be down in Lexington, Kentucky. So I call my guys down there and say, hey, this is what we got. This is what's going on. They're like, all right, we're on it. And for whatever reason, my chief said, hey, get a crew of guys and head down there.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. So we
posse.
Yeah.
Get the posse going.
There's about 8 of us. We pile in some cars. We start heading south. So we worked that all day, and eventually we got
Lexington's like 7 hours.
About 6 hours.
Yeah.
Beautiful town.
Yeah.
I've never been there before. It's a nice place.
I'm heading down there next month.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's a nice town. So finally we got some sources, and we get him. We think that he's in this shopping mall. So like we're scouring this mall, and this guy Albert Fine, you look him up in the paper.
I remember him. Yeah.
He's about 5'6", about just as wide.
Yeah.
Tattoos. He has his name tattooed across his neck. So guys like,
hard on.
Like you got a picture for him. I'm like, he's got his name tattooed on him.
He's got a permanent name tag on his neck. I think you'll be fine.
If you see a short fat guy with face tats, probably him.
This can't be the Albert Fine we're looking for. It must be a different one.
Just stop him. I don't care.
Any Albert Fine that has a tattoo across his neck, just stop him just in case.
So we're scouring this mall. Nothing. Then all of a sudden we hear the Lexington Marshals yelling. They caught him. He'd been underneath a bridge, staying with some homeless guys.
Jesus.
Just staying on the bridge, and he'd walked out from behind a Home Depot, and they were there. They saw him. They took him down. So this guy, it is like we're trying to wrap our heads around this. So our detectives go down there and interview him, and I can talk about this because this case is disposed of.
Yeah, right.
It's done.
Yeah.
He confesses to it. Says he got mad because she was cheating on him, or she didn't want to be with him, or something. Their baby's in the hospital. He chokes her out. She passes out. He handcuffs her. She wakes up again, tries to escape, chokes her, kills her. Then over the next 3 days, starts to dismember the body in the bathtub. And we see him going. He went to Home Depot to buy different types of tools to use, because first he tried just a regular hacksaw. That didn't work. So then he was going to buy power tools. He decided he threw the arm in the dumpster at first. He was going to throw away piece by piece, but that wasn't. He thought that might be tough. So then he decided to put her in this Tupperware bin and put her in the closet, where she'd been for probably about 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. So okay, we got him. He's down in Boone County Jail, down in Lexington. We get him extradited, get the proper warrants, get him extradited. me and the detective that interviewed him, they're like, hey, you guys want to go down and pick him up? I'm like, absolutely. Another free trip to Lexington, Kentucky.
Sure, right.
So we go down there. We're bringing him back. And this guy, I mean, it's like you talk about, what goes through the criminal mind. This guy should be a freaking case study about that. He's talking to us, and of course, we're not asking him any questions.
Sometimes they don't shut up. They just want to talk.
We videotape the whole ride back, and he's talking and we heard this in his jail phone calls, which are all recorded, of course. And he's talking about, I'm hoping that they'll put me on some meds and I can get out of here, and I'm just sick, and he's talking to this girl. He's like, I can't wait to see you. We can be together when I get out of here. I'm like, get out of here. Yeah. Anthony Hopkins is going to be playing you in a movie. You're not getting out of here, buddy. They're going to want to stick a needle in your arm. Right. And it's just I don't know, like normal people like us, maybe I'm the weird one, but this guy is completely nuts. He played he's doing life without parole, so he's never going to get out.
Right.
But it was just craziness.
Yeah,
and dealing with that stuff.
It always amazes me when there's these trials to have people and they're pleading insanity. I think if you end up killing someone, especially in cold blood, there is an element of insanity there somewhere. It doesn't necessarily mean you're not guilty of the crime. It just means that you have a mental issue.
There's a mental break.
Should not be part of society.
No.
Well, even if you are crazy, even if you are a total mental patient, for the safety of the community, you shouldn't be involved. You shouldn't be in the community. But nowadays we don't have places to put these people.
And that's a big thing is mental health, especially in Lorraine. We got the Nord Center, so there's a lot of mental illness, people with mental illness in this town that we as the police who are going to deal with them the most. It's going to be the police because they're off their meds.
But you're also going to deal with them as a civilian in Bob Evans when they come in and sit down and start trouble. So now,
or they walk up to your car while you're at a stoplight.
Right.
As I'm just trying to.
So whose safety is more important? Is it mine and my family's, or is it these mental patients wandering aimlessly through the streets?
Unfortunately, we talk about, let's go to the school shooting down in Florida, where they knew that kid was nuts.
Yeah.
But it seems to me, and I'm not full with all the facts, it's so I as a police officer, we can involuntarily commit somebody. It's called pink slipping them.
Yep.
I can take him to the hospital, say, this guy I deal with him all the time. He's not right today. He needs to get looked at. So they'll take him, and I think it's 72 hours. They can hold him, and they'll get him back right, and they'll kick him out again because they don't have the resources to keep him there. So, this kid down in Florida, they knew he was crazy. They knew there's something wrong with him, but their hands were kind of tied about what they could do with that. And some people need to be off the streets.
Right.
You can say, this guy's crazy. I deal with him 3 times a week. Mm-hmm. He's nuts. He's going to hurt somebody.
Yep.
But it's like, the safeguards of it's a yin and a yang thing. It's we can't just keep throwing people in mental institutions when they don't have the resources for it. And
Reagan closed all those mental institutions. Really not like we talk about Nord Center. Does Nord Center even have beds?
They do. But
very limited, though. I would assume
it is. And then
Mercy has some beds.
Mercy has some beds, but that's just a temporary thing.
Yeah.
You can't keep these people institutionalized for long, and sometimes they need to be.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, well he's okay when he's on his meds, so send him out. Well, he's not going to stay on his meds all the time. Where you can't have alcohol with these meds because it counteracts. Well, of course he's going to go out and drink because everyone does.
Yep.
It's going to be. He's not going to do that forever. So.
I've been told I couldn't drink when I was on blood thinners. I went home and a rum and coke that night.
Exactly. So
I don't listen, and
it's difficult. It's a challenge in policing to try to deal with that.
Right.
And it's almost like you just have to keep these people good enough so that they're not going to hurt anybody. And it's tough sometimes.
Yeah, and you're dealing with a lot of luck because they could at any time hurt somebody.
And like you said, you'll be sitting at Bob Evans, a guy will come in there and start harassing you, and like, oh my God, you call the cops like, oh, he's harmless, but we shoot him out here, but you don't know he's not. You don't know he's harmless.
I make that Bob Evans joke because I was in a Bob Evans one time, and we were at a Highland Games, and I was with this girl who sees this guy come in, and he walks past me and sits behind us, and you could just tell he was off. And he's sitting at his table and he's banging his hand on the table, and nobody in the place is looking at him. He's getting louder and louder, and I ended up just staring at him. And just staring at him and staring at him and staring at him.
Trying to look more crazy than he is.
I was trying to do that because everything else, no one else wanted to deal with this guy. There was no waitresses coming to his table. He was just being loud. And for a while, we had this staring contest where he was looking at me and I was looking at him. And I'm like, and I'm thinking, I'm doing the criminal thing. I can take this guy. He's not that big, you know. And finally, he just got up and walked out, and the police ended up coming and catching him in the parking lot. But it was like, I don't know what the fuck this guy's gonna do, you know.
Well, it's like, yeah, I can take this guy. I'm bigger than him, but I don't want to be getting in a fight.
No.
I'm Bob Evans. I just want to eat some eggs.
Exactly.
That's all I want to do. Just leave me alone, please.
Yeah, and that's and you're the same age I am, and that's talking about these guys getting into bar fights and stuff. That's like that would be the worst possible outcome of any evening I could.
I just want to go watch basketball, man.
Right.
You know.
And I don't even remember being. A lot of them are these young kids that get into these bar fights, but I don't even remember being that way. Probably because we had jobs that were more violent when we were kids too.
True.
There was no reason to prove yourself in a bar that you were a formidable person. You know.
A lion doesn't have to remind everybody he's a lion.
Right. Yeah.
You know. So.
Although when I was a bouncer, I did have to deal with some LPD guys from time to time who would. I used to be the front door guy at Toucan Charlie's.
That was before my time, but
it was.
I know what you're talking about.
Yep, yeah, we had some heavy hitters who would come into that bar and have some fun on Thursday nights for sure.
Yeah, that was a spot.
Those guys were cowboys. There was the time.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, they were cowboys for sure. Fun guys though, man.
Oh yeah, they could drink.
They could drink. They could drink, and they were giants. They were big, tough dudes, man. So now that we are coming to the end of this, what's going on? Like, what is there anything on the horizon as far as cool things you're going to be doing with the Marshal Service? You got any trainings coming up, or?
No, nothing.
You guys are over here blowing shit up at Gasper's place all the time, aren't you?
Oh yeah, like our SWAT team trains there, so
yeah.
I mean we shoot. You know, the department shoots once a year, twice a year. We shoot probably almost every month. So
yeah,
and then I mean other departments use it too. So there's a ton of volume going through there, a ton of shooting, which is good because more training is good. They got a shoot house in there, so we can practice our room clearing.
I got to get Ron on the show, man. That guy. Ron's probably got some stories. I got to get him on here.
Yeah, he's a good dude. But no, nothing good trading. I got some nice cases we're working.
Yeah.
Just try to keep after it. The job never ends.
Yeah, it's job security forever, right?
No, but you just gotta keep your focus, and that it goes back to that warrior mindset I like to talk about is you got to keep your focus, and you have to. You got to have the drive.
How much longer are you going to do this?
I'll do it as long as I can.
Yeah.
Honestly, I still like going to work every day.
And you've got 20 years, and so you technically could be done if you wanted, right?
5 years.
more?
Yeah, we got 25. I could.
Yeah.
I don't think. I mean, I'm only 42. I'm not going to. But I also understand. You can't do this job forever. I'll do it as long as I physically can.
Who's the older gentleman on the SWAT team? Denny?
Yeah, Denny.
Yeah, that dude's in shape.
He is. He's in his mid 40s. He's only. He's probably. I think he's 47. And he's one of our top guys.
Yeah,
one of our top guys.
He would
PT
fly through those workouts.
He's one of the first 2-3 guys done.
Actually, he's an older gentleman. He's 3 years older than me.
He's our age.
I always feel like I'm 25.
But yeah, he's got that mindset. He's got the focus. He's got the drive. He's a hard worker.
Well,
he goes to work, and this type of stuff that it's in police work, but it can transcend into anything, especially like here at the gym.
Yeah.
Keep focused. Do your job. Don't quit.
Yeah.
Don't whine about it. Just like you see it. Like I come here, I see it too. You see the people that yeah, they're gonna fail at this,
mm-hmm.
and they're gonna quit halfway through this Metcon or whatever, or they're only gonna half-ass it on the bench. And you see that, with people that I work with too. Who's got the warrior's edge and who doesn't. And so you got to don't quit, keep focused.
I would, I will, and I'll tell you what, I'll put it out here right now. I will give a huge discount, and I mean huge discount, to any SWAT guys out there because I think you need to be the razor's edge of your department, And once, you guys used to come in once a month.
We still would, but it was our schedule that prevented us from doing it.
But you and Denny would come in and just smoke everybody because you're in shape and you do this every day.
I'm by no means, Mr. Fitness. If I can do this stuff, if I can keep, anybody can.
Yeah, I want these guys to be razor's edge. You have to be able to shoot, you have to be able to throw down, you have to be able to run. And I think it's really important. We did that originally. How we got you guys in here was that free 3-month trial, and that came from all the police officers getting shot, and I was pissed. And everyone's ranting on social media and shit. And it was just like, I got a hold of Aaron. I remember sitting on the couch going, what? We got to do something, and we can't just go on social media and rant and bullshit about stuff. So that was our way of kind of giving back to the police forces, and we do that September to December every year. So if anyone's listening out there, and if you're worried about money, first of all, if you're ever worried about money, come talk to me. But second of all, if you're worried about the cash, start September 1st. It's free. Just come in here. There's no strings attached, and see if you like it. It's so important that the guys out there, when I call the police department and they come to my house because somebody's breaking in my house, I don't want some fat, out of shape guy coming. I want the cavalry coming, and I want Terminators coming to my house. I don't want.
Well, then like the little did some training with Columbus SWAT, some of those professional guys I've ever dealt with, and they sum it up very well. It's like when people call us, they're having the worst day of their life.
Absolutely right.
They're in bad shape, and they need us to come help them. And like you said, who do you want coming there? Do you want someone with a bad attitude that's out of shape, that doesn't care what, they just can't wait to get out of there because they got 2 years to retire? Or do you want someone that's going to come there, do the job for you, be a professional, and take care of business?
Yeah, right.
And that's what you want. And then you want someone that you can look at and say, all right, this bad dude that's breaking my house, that guy can handle him.
Right.
That guy can take him. Now, I'm not saying he's not going to beat him up, he's not going to shoot him, but he's going to put him in handcuffs and take him away.
And if you think of it that way, if you are a big, jack, strong guy who's in shape, you have to use a whole hell of a lot less force to get somebody down and get him in handcuffs than if you're some, I don't care what jiu-jitsu expert you are. If you're 117 pounds and you have to put out the extreme amount of force to get somebody down to the ground, that's never a good option for you.
That's kind of the philosophy of the task force is, it's a force multiplier. We show up with 7 guys, that guy's going to think twice about doing something.
Sure, right.
Now, sometimes you don't always have the luxury of 7 guys going to take somebody out, but if one guy shows up, it's 1-on-1, and that guy is a lot fitter than you, and he looks like that cop is in shape, and that cop got some pretty big arms on him, he's coming at me with the attitude to boot that he means business. Then okay, it's kind of the same type of concept.
Right.
It's a lot of it's perception, and that works a lot of times.
Absolutely.
A lot of times, you talk about the force continuum. Presence is number one. That'll stop crime. Just the police being there. Now add to that this cop knows what he's doing, and he's got the right frame of mind in it, and it's going to be even better with it.
Yeah.
And that is what that's true. That like places like this help that. It gets you in practical, tactical fitness that you need.
I would, I gotta think that the guys who came through, and I'm remembering, and I won't ever mention any names, but I remember some of the guys who started just from LPD. And the body transformations they went to, it's gotta help your confidence. That you look at yourself in the mirror and go, yeah, I wouldn't fuck with that guy.
Yeah. Or like I could never bench anything. Now I'm benching whatever.
Yeah, you're hanging in there with the
yeah. Like it does provide a certain level of confidence.
Sure. Yeah. Police departments. I'd like to see these guys getting in gyms, not just my gym, any gym across the country. Get these guys into a gym. If you're on SWAT, make the physical fitness tests hard enough that you better do some training to get them done.
And our test is demanding enough that you do have to have like a certain level of confidence.
Right.
But I'd like to put something where, my dad was on the FBI SWAT team for years, long ago, and they had
God,
to
he's
do.
probably got some stories. Jesus.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He hunted Eric Rudolph. He was at Oklahoma City.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
He went to New York after 9/11. Been to Kosovo a couple times. But they used to have to do 2 pull-ups in their gear. They have to be able to drag 150-pound dummy, whatever, X amount of yards, things like that.
Pretty functional stuff.
Functional stuff
Yeah.
that is you're going to need. Am I going to ever have to run 3 miles? No.
No.
It shows that I'm in shape, that I can do that.
Right.
But I'm never going to have to do that. So I'd like to see some sort of just middle ground here.
Yeah, I think you need to have more qualified people putting together.
Because if I know I have to do 2 pull-ups in my gear, I'm going to practice doing pull-ups in my gear.
Pretty easy.
And you will just you're going to get better at it. There's nothing you can do about it. If you keep doing it, you're going to get better at it.
And what would we do? You'd come in, you'd tell me you have to do that. We'd figure out ways to first get you doing pull-ups, and then start to slowly add weight to it, you know, and build those muscles up. And that would make total sense. I would love to see some more qualified people. And maybe they are qualified. I don't know who puts together physical fitness standards for police departments and fire departments, but I would like to see more tactical guys and fitness guys coming together and saying, this is what the demands of the department is. This is how we train it. This is what they should be able to do. And then putting that together in some kind of cumulative program to get these guys. And it wouldn't take much. Those guys that came in for the SWAT team, they were all fairly decent shape guys. Some of them were worse, some of them were better, but it wouldn't take, as long as they were willing to get them to the place where everyone in there was in shape and jacked.
I mean, because like you said, you're already in a good amount of shape. It's just different. It's just going to take a little bit of time.
Yep.
It'll be quickly before you get into it.
Yeah, 90 days.
Our department, obviously on SWAT we have mandatory physical standards, but our department offers physical incentive where you get paid a pretty good chunk of change every year to do this test, and only about 1/3 of the people do them. And they're not hard standards. They're giving you money. It's free money.
I remember the standards aren't that bad at all.
No. And not everyone takes advantage of it.
Yeah.
But then you got some departments that I deal with that they have mandatory physical standards if you want to keep your job.
Right.
Which I don't know, like with collective bargaining, that's shocked that they would even have that they were able to do that. And let me tell you, everyone in that department, they look good.
Yeah, right.
That's the fittest department I've ever seen.
Well, does the state highway patrol do that?
I'm sure they do.
Yeah, because I know that we had a couple stadies in here who they weighed them in like every month or every other month, and
I look at these guys from this department; they're impressive.
Right.
And I'm like, that's it's a byproduct. You have to keep mandatory standards. These guys look professional. They look good. It's a professional unit. I kind of wish we'd kind of get more of that across the spectrum.
Well, when you think about the job, I mean, how many accountants and lawyers and school teachers do we have in here? And nobody's whipping their ass, or they don't have to get in fist fights on a weekly basis. You'd think that the guys
that it could happen at any moment.
At any moment,
especially in this town. This is a tough town. You know what?
It was such a weird job when I was a corrections officer. It was weird. When I left the DH for a long time, for 19 years you go in thinking, oh, you might have to fight somebody today. That's a weird ass occupation, but we never think of that. It was just what it is.
It's just what it is. I knew that going in.
So now I retire from here, and it's like, there is like a very little chance that anyone is going to punch me in the mouth today. Almost nil. Now if I come in tomorrow and someone will whack me in the chops, but
probably not going to happen.
It's probably not going to happen. But it's a very likelihood that you could be wrestling with some disgusting human being.
And it's like the flip of a switch.
Yeah.
So you got to be ready for it.
Got to be ready. Got to train your ass.
You got to be ready mentally. You have to be ready physically, and like I said, you don't want to do it, but it's unfortunate that's part of the job.
Yeah, that's the thing is you never want to do it. But that's police work. Sometimes you have to put your hands on people.
Yeah.
Do dangerous stuff and make good decisions. Hopefully.
That's what it comes down to is, that's that frame of mind. Make good decisions.
That's it.
Yeah, be smart.
All right, Kurt Graupman, I want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a wonderful time.
Yeah, we'll do this again.
Absolutely.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too, man.
It's been the Refined Savage. See ya.